Thank you. Section 502 is fairly short. It just defines two words. One is election as any general, special, primary election or any primary contests related to that. And it defines federal office as being the office of the president, vice president, senator, or representative in Congress of the United States. And that's all Section 502 does. And that concludes my testimony on that.
Thank you. Not really a question, but you should probably add the word runoff in there too. Sometimes runoff elections happen after the general. So it would be good to specify that if we could work on that with the subcommittee.
Great, thank you. It is actually in there. I summarized a little too briefly.
Nope.
Thank you, Mixed Chair. And yes, I'll just go ahead and put 502 up here so that general, special, primary, or runoff election are all included in that. But Section 503 is the meat of this section. Subsection A, all adult citizens eligible to vote. Any citizen of the United States being 18 years of age shall be eligible to vote in any election for federal office. That's it. That's the meat of the section. There's some notification requirements and restrictions on using federal prison funds if states don't notify incarcerated people that they are eligible to vote. This language comes from HR 1, again, to make sure that we're including all citizens in our elections. And there's subsection D, which makes all this effective January 1st, 2024, and repeals the notification programs and the restrictions on federal prison funds after the 2036 general election. So by that point, I feel very confident that everyone will be on the same page, that one citizen, one vote, end of story. Everyone gets to participate, and we won't need to keep sending out notifications at that point. I think that concludes my testimony for Section 503, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Section 504 is reduction of representation. And this is a law that is already part of the United States Code, but in need of updating. So Section 6 of Title II United States Code, and the current law says is that if states deny or abridge the right of any male inhabitant over 21, block them from voting in elections, then according to the elections named in the 14th Amendment, then representatives apportioned to the state shall be reduced. The 14th Amendment does allow for reducing participation, reducing the participation of people in elections or participation in rebellion or other crime. And so to the extent that states have disenfranchised people based on conviction of a crime, this section of law hasn't been applied. But we update that by striking the except for participation in the rebellion or other crime. Just as a historical note, I find it interesting that it's the rebellion, that it's a very specific event that they were referring to when they wrote this law. And then of course, striking male, requirement that you be male, 21, reduce that to 18 to match the 20 voting age. And so if states go ahead and restrict people's ability to vote and they don't allow citizens to participate, then the number of representatives that they have in Congress would be reduced, that this section of law would apply, that there would be a reduction of at least one representative unless leave them with none, in which case they're exempt. But yeah, so this is the teeth of it. A citizen, one vote, end of story. Yeah, and if states don't cooperate, then they would lose representation. So with that, Mixed Chair, I'd be happy to answer any questions. That concludes my testimony on Section 504.
Thank you. Just to clarify, this was just adjusting existing U.S. code to match the language that is currently in the Constitution, correct?
Both. So yes, this is current law, but it needs a need of updated because it still refers to male inhabitants 21 years of age. And so we've expanded our our voter pool since then. And then it would strike the part that permits restrictions based on participation in rebellion or other crime. So it would strike that part to achieve universal suffrage.
Okay.